Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you are well. Aftermath. I mean, I feel like we just watched a major event yesterday. It was the Super Bowl in the tech sector, as I mentioned. NVIDIA not only impressed, they blew out all expectations with that earning report. If you remember in my video that I posted a couple days ago, I said to be ultimately bullish, we needed to beat 67 billion in the quarter, and they needed to give forward guidance over 75 billion in the next quarter. Accomplish both. It was really a shocking testament to the strength of NVIDIA, the performance they've had, the revenue they're generating. So in this video, we're going to cover all of it. We're going to jump in and take a look at the earnings report because it wasn't just a financial report. It was a definitive mic drop for NVIDIA in the AI era. And while the market often looks for reasons to doubt sustainability for a company or to doubt sustainability of the AI boom, NVIDIA responded yesterday with numbers that effectively silenced, in my opinion, the bubble talk for now. I'm going to give a compelling overview of their earnings. We'll take a look at exactly what they reported yesterday. I'll share with you what I was listening for. I mentioned in the video, I'm going to confirm what I was listening for. There may even be some other things that I want to bring to your attention that you may have picked up on, but if not, great signs for NVIDIA moving forward. And then finally, we'll wrap up and just kind of take a look at the sentiment overall. We've seen some new price targets, and where do we think this stock will go today? How will it help lift the overall sector? So if you haven't done it already, hit like, subscribe. Appreciate you guys spending time on the channel. Let's dive in and get started. All right, I'm going to start us off with just taking a look at the report that we saw that came out yesterday. You can see on investing.com, they pulled down some of the slides I just want to go through. And the first thing I highlighted here, you can see in the green on the screen, guys, is just, I mean, the sentiment overall. It was that NVIDIA delivered a record-breaking fourth quarter fiscal year. And you can see right here, they reported 68.1 billion. Representing the largest quarter-over-quarter growth in their history, beating analyst expectations, which was about 65.5 billion by almost 4%. That's an amazing beat of their print. And then as you go down and look at the quarter some more, we look at revenue of 68.1 billion, they said, compared to 39.3 billion in the same quarter prior year, 73% growth rate. I mentioned this is a company that's growing at the rate of a startup that is one of the largest companies, if not the largest, on the planet right now. It is an amazing testament to the revenue, to the performance they have in the market, to the demand they're meeting, to the value they're delivering to customers. So let's go in and just take a look at some of the results. Here you go. You can see this quarter compared to the same time period last year. There and a couple highlights in here. Record growing, it's the largest quarter-over-quarter growth in the history of the company. They continue to be the largest networking business, and it's so high. I think you look at the third one, NVIDIA infrastructure in high demand. Even Hopper and much of the 6-year-old AM-free business products are sold out in the cloud. I mean, just an amazing demand for their products overall. And we're going to get into some of the new products and what we're seeing and hearing from Jensen and NVIDIA. We'll take a look at the data center, which we know is over 90% of their business, and it continues to be. If you look on the compute side, which everyone knows NVIDIA for, that GPU, the brains of the data center, the compute, look at the jump from same period last year. So this is a sustained strength in not only the Blackwell platform, but we know the Rubin architecture that's coming out will continue to strengthen this. But over 51 billion in the compute and the networking. Remember, I talked about that. I'm going to dive into it more. Networking up to 11 billion in this current quarter. Look at the growth rate from the same time last year of 3 billion. Massive increase. I scroll down, we'll take a look at some of the metrics here, the profitability. Think of the revenue, and they're maintaining these profitability margins overall, both in GAAP and non-GAAP. When you see that their gross margin reached over 75%. Remember, expectation was 75%, which is pretty high for NVIDIA, and they beat it. So really outstanding performance. Same time prior year, 73.5 up to 75.2 right now on gross margin. A couple other things I want to call out before we jump back and look at, give you some comments and look at some other pieces on NVIDIA. But their earnings per share were $1.62 in non-GAAP, up over from 89 cents a share, same period last year. So doubled the earnings per share from fourth quarter of fiscal year 25. Cash flows look great. Look at that, almost 35 billion on hand for free cash flow. And then finally, I'm just going to give you the guidance for next quarter. So here's the outlook, as we mentioned, 78 billion for the quarter moving forward. And they have they want to maintain that 75% margin and have operating expenses in that 7.5 billion range. So how did the market respond to this? I'll jump over here. Let me just jump back. Sorry, guys. Pull this back down where you can see where we are. So we know NVIDIA closed the day up over almost $3, $2.71, about 1.5%. In the pre-market trading right now, we're putting a bit more on, almost closing in about $2 a share, but hovering around that 197, 198 range. But I just want to scroll down and look at some of the scorecard piece on the right here. Probably not surprising, but their health is excellent. They have a fair value of 204, so we see a little bit of an upside there. You see the technical analysis right now is a strong buy. And the price target, these have been moving. We just saw that Rosenblatt put a price target on at 300 a share after the earnings. The average price target of the analyst sentiment right now is 254.54, up 30%. It's a 30% increase or upside over where the stock is trading today. Really healthy numbers overall for NVIDIA. I want to tell you a couple things that jumped out to me from the earning report. You may have seen it as well, but the stock, the market was breathless, we'll say. It surged in the after hours. The stock surged almost 4%, I think 3.5%, 4%. It moderated a bit, and it's just suggesting that the market is still digesting the sheer scale of these numbers that we saw from NVIDIA, that their data center has scaled 13x since the launch of ChatGPT. It's an unprecedented growth that we've seen in any industrial history. Obviously, you think back to the Industrial Revolution. This is the new Industrial Revolution with the AI piece. But there's a few things I want to talk about. I want to talk about the transition from Blackwell to Rubin. We'll talk about the sovereign AI. We'll talk about networking. We'll talk about China. We'll talk about HBM4 because there was some commentary in there I think is strong for us Micron fans on the line or on this channel. But let's first talk about the next frontier of the Vera Rubin platform and what we heard. They confirmed that the Rubin platform is on track and it represents a massive leap in efficiency for Rubin, or efficiency for chips. Jensen referred to Blackwell as the king of inference, but stated that Rubin will extend the leadership even further. Rubin is being co-designed for the agentic AI inflection point. And this is the point where AI models just don't answer questions, but they take actions. This requires a 10x improvement in tokens per watt, which Rubin, according to Jensen, is designed to deliver and meet that need in the marketplace. Now, the handover from Blackwell to Rubin was a concern. Would there be a pocket? Would there be companies waiting? And it looks like right now that the overnight analysis suggests the opposite. NVIDIA confirmed that they've already begun shipping samples, of the Vera Rubin platform. And the demand is so high that customers are actually buying Blackwell now just to get any capacity they have for NVIDIA. And while they're placing pre-orders through 2027 for Rubin. So the feared demand air pocket that we've talked about, or analysts have talked about, which might have an impact on NVIDIA's margins, just is officially dead now. I think we can put that to rest. And then when we look at HBM4, the biggest piece that I was looking for, and you guys know this, was who would they signal as their suppliers? And they did confirm that memory is the biggest bottleneck for AI scaling. It continues to be. And NVIDIA is moving aggressively to scale and to secure that next generation of advanced memory. They signaled great news that they have a 3-supplier strategy. This was concerns because everyone thought it would just be SK Hynix and Samsung and Micron would be left in the dark. They signaled that they have a 3-supplier strategy, folks, and that they are working with SK Hynix, Samsung, and Micron for HBM4 validation. The biggest probably shock that came out from industry reports is that during the call, they suggest that Samsung is currently leading the HBM4 validation race for them, and they're expected to have mass production of their HBM4 product in the second quarter of this year. So we'll see what that does to Micron stock as well. We know the sensitivity around Samsung and Micron, but the fact that they announced a 3 strategy is a positive sign for Micron. And then finally, just regarding HBM4, We did hear their CFO mention that their purchase obligations remain massive. I think they're going to purchase 45 billion plus in advanced memory or HBM4, and they're looking to prepay out through 2027. Great news for the memory companies. The other area that I want to cover is just this capex concerns with the hyperscalers. We saw so much sensitivity, and I think Jensen gave some great forward comments there that hopefully it kind of put to rest some of the anxieties in the market. So he pushed back against this capex anxiety, in that he mentioned that the AI compute demand, the AI compute demand is 1,000x greater than traditional compute, and he stated the world needs a lot more than 700 billion in infrastructure cost or investment to support this transition. Compute means revenue. That was the greatest quote from him. I think that came from that, and hopefully will help investors start to think a little differently about the hyperscalers and what they're building. But the world is awakened to the agentic AI era, he mentioned. The shift, and this shift in narrative from AI being a cost for companies to AI being their primary revenue generator is where we need to get our heads wrapped around, according to Jensen. And I think the next piece I want to jump to is the China factor. This may have been one of the most shocking things for me. I didn't know what we would see. I thought we would see some type of guidance move for China moving forward. But one of the most things discussed overnight is the fact that NVIDIA's explicit exclusion of China in their guidance. So their $78 billion guidance for next quarter assumes zero revenue from data center compute in China. This removed a major geopolitical overhang for investors and for analysts looking at the company. It proves that the global demand for NVIDIA, both in sovereign AI and the US hyperscalers, is so intense that NVIDIA doesn't need the China market to maintain the hypergrowth that they're on. That's a big report and a big bullish sentiment for NVIDIA. Now, I did talk about sovereign AI. I mentioned that I wanted to look at that because that was a great piece of business moving forward. This is their new $30 billion segment, according to Jensen. And it's one of the most significant diversification stories of the night or of yesterday's earning print. So sovereign AI contributed over $30 billion in revenue this fiscal year. The top players were Canada, France, the Netherlands, Singapore, the UK. They were named as the primary drivers for Jensen or for NVIDIA. And this proves a cushion for NVIDIA, where they're not so dependent just on the GPUs and so dependent on the hyperscalers. Even if one big tech firm starts to slow down, which is concerning and always puts a little pressure on the stock, but this sovereign AI story hopefully helps eliminate some of those concerns, because even if one big tech firm slows down, entire countries are now competing for GPU capacity to ensure their digital sovereignty moving forward. Such a strong signal of strength for NVIDIA. And then the last piece that I want to talk about was that Spectrum X, or I mentioned that networking, that's a source of growth from 3 billion to 11 billion year over year. NVIDIA is dominating that central nervous system, dominating the nervous system right now. Everyone always focuses on the GPU or the brain of the data center. When we mentioned it yesterday, they are starting to move into that nervous system. NVIDIA's Spectrum X Ethernet is winning. It means NVIDIA is successfully cannibalizing the market share of traditional network players such as Cisco and Arista. And NVIDIA is becoming that Cisco of the AI era. They aren't just selling the brains anymore. Now they're selling the entire skeleton for the data center. Network revenue was hit 11 billion, as I mentioned. That was a 3.5x year over year. The annual revenues of 31 billion in this area. This business unit, or this business alone, think about this, guys, is bigger or larger than most global semiconductor companies. Just that one aspect that is growing. So keep an eye on that physical AI. And NVIDIA disclosed that this segment, which also covers robotics and industrial automation, added 6 billion in annual revenue. The part that I just mentioned. So the 6 billion was robotics and industrial automation, 6 billion in annual revenue. It's a small slice now, but it's growing at a rapid triple digit clip. And it represents, to me, NVIDIA's third act. We had gaming, we had data centers. physical AI will be the next big growth segment for this company. So I talk about what my expectation is for today. We mentioned in the pre-market, you see it's hovering around that 197, 198 a share. I expect we will see a gap up, not only for NVIDIA, but for the sector. There will be a rally today based on these results, in my opinion. The after hours trading was up. It's in that range of 197, 198. I expect a gap up at the opening because their print beat on every metric. It was such a bullish print overall. It beat on revenues, EPS. It beat on guidance. It provides a green light, in my opinion, for the broader tech sector. This was the ultimate bear killer that we saw yesterday. It proves demand isn't peaking. It's accelerating as we move from Blackwell into the Rubin cycle. And I think we're going to see a bit of what we'll call sympathy play for TSMC, for ASML, for Broadcom, just these companies that are surrounding NVIDIA will get a lift today. They'll trade and higher just on the lift of the sector and kind of the picks and shovels play for the massive guidance and the massive revenue that NVIDIA posted last night. I think it just is confirmation that the picks and shovel are there. This is the AI gold rush, and it's still being bought at a record pace. And the volatility piece, the one thing we'll keep an eye on too is that the options markets were pricing in about a 6% move. And since the after hours market was a little more modest, around a 3%, I think it was, 3-4%, there's still room to run tomorrow, and according to many analysts. So if institutional buyers decide, if they look at that print and they think that the guidance is strong enough to warrant a re-rating for NVIDIA, and we did see some price targets move, we could see this stock even run a little further today than we expect. But today or yesterday, I would say for NVIDIA isn't just about the stock going up. It's about the market realizing that the AI bubble just got a massive structural foundation. NVIDIA just guided for more revenue in 90 days than they used to make in a year. Think about that. And they're doing it with record high profit margins. They aren't just leading the race. They are building the entire AI racetrack right now. What an outstanding print. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Drop your comments below. Let me know what you thought of it, but have a great day, guys.